Yummy.
Good morning, everyone. We've got our Golden Girls joining us today to talk a little bit about everything from neighbors and house chores to movies and recipes.
Yeah, first a little background on our guest today. We have June Perry looking beautiful in purple. She is a mother and grandmother. She's been seeing the same guy for 12 years and loves to cook and try new recipes. In fact, her famous lemon pound cake even launched a business. I told her next time you got to bring some for me.
Yeah, you do.
I will.
Okay,
Yeah.
and Linda Cieslik is single. She has 2 kids. She's an actor and filmmaker and currently working on a YouTube project called Ruthie's Blanken Kitchen. Well, we can't say it, but it rhymes with kitchen and starts with a B. It's at the bottom of your screen in case you're interested and curious about checking it out, which leads us to the perfect topic for our first question, little kitchen, little cooking and recipes. Do you guys both have, I want to talk about the lemon pound cake, but first, do you have a go-to recipe for a meal or something you just like to cook?
I love to cook salmon and pepper steak. Those are 2 things that...
How do you cook? You know, it's interesting you bring up salmon. I just made it last night. I had the oven at 350 for about 20 minutes or so. How do you cook it?
I actually use a recipe that is in an Ina Garten cookbook.
Okay.
How easy is that? And it's, you sear the salmon on top of the stove first, skin side down, with panko crumbs and seasonings on top.
What kind of seasonings?
Lemon zest.
Okay.
Lemon zest, garlic, parsley.
Yum.
So then you, after you sear it on top of the stove, you put it in the oven for the top to brown, and it's delicious.
At 350?
No, you actually cook it at a higher temperature. I think it's 425.
For probably only 10 minutes or so.
Yeah, very short time because you don't want it to dry out. That's the recipe that I use. But you know,
I'm gonna look that up.
Yeah.
Salmon can be tricky, right?
It can be tricky. You don't want it to dry out. So if you cook it too long, that's what happens.
I like that.
Yeah, the lemon pound, obviously. Do you have a go-to recipe?
It's odd that I do the cooking show. The recipes are Ruthie's department. I talk about cocktails a lot.
Ooh.
I will cook anything that comes out of a box, a can, or the freezer section.
Or a bottle, right?
Yes. Well, no, you don't cook that. You just that's what's simple about it. You just pour and ingest.
We talked about a favorite cocktail once with a guest on the show, and hers is the same as mine. It was a dirty martini with vodka with blue cheese olives.
Yes.
Do you have a favorite cocktail?
Well, it's the exact antithesis of that. It is a non-dirty martini with gin, extra olives, and
no vermouth?
No vermouth. So it's basically a glass of gin in a fancy glass.
with a couple olives.
Yeah, with extra olives, and the olives are food. The olives are the food.
That's your appetizer,
yes,
right?
Yeah,
I get that.
Exactly.
I vote on the vodka side.
I do too.
Yeah.
The one that you mentioned, bartenders now will stuff, in the good restaurants, they will stuff an olive with blue cheese for you if you ask.
Yeah, they'll hand stuff it. I agree with you.
And those are great.
Yeah, I
That's
love
one
those.
of my favorite drinks too.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's good.
I just realized the other day that since I moved, which was in October, I have not gone grocery shopping. I've picked up items here and there, but I've never actually gone grocery shopping since I've moved in to my new place. How often do you ladies go grocery shopping?
End of the month.
Really?
Oh,
You know.
Oh, I'm right here with you. I am right there with you.
Right. If I don't eat it, you know, you clean out the refrigerator and then you shop some more.
That's wild.
I'm
I
there
go
with you.
so often. How about you?
Me too, because I try different recipes, and I like to have everything that's on the recipe. So I'm in and out, not full grocery shopping, but I'll go to a specialty store, I'll go where I buy fruit and vegetables. So that's something that I do. Not on a schedule, but when I need it, but it's often more than once a week.
For sure.
Yeah.
And you know, you bring up something interesting about specialty stores. I find myself going to so many different stores for certain things,
me
you know,
too.
From Outpost and Trader Joe's and maybe Pick and Save and a Sentry and a Sendix. And I mean, it's like a little bit of everything.
Right, especially the spice shop. If you need a particular spice for a recipe. I love Cermak for fruits and vegetables. Metro Market is near where I live, so I'm in and out of there all the time. You know you're there when you walk in. They say, "Hi, Miss Perry."
Then I'm going to guess the opposite for you. You go to one place You get all done.
Figured that out. Aldi. It's small. You know where everything is. You go in the one door. You go down the aisles. You grab stuff. You put it in the cart, and you're done.
Yeah, it's the same place that it was a month ago.
Right, exactly. They changed mine around, the one in my neighborhood, and I was like lost. I had to go to one of the help people and say, where did you put the macaroni and cheese? I don't know where the boxes are.
You guys are so opposite. I love it. You guys are the perfect panel because you're so opposite. Let's talk a little bit, switching gears a little bit. Last time you had a good cry.
At a movie.
Me too.
Yeah,
12 Years a Slave.
12 Years a Slave. Yeah. Yeah.
That movie traumatized me,
It did.
actually. I think about it all the time. In fact, my 14-year-old daughter is very mature, but I would not let her go and see that movie. Just right now, I feel like you need more maturity to be able to handle some of the reality of that movie.
I agree with you. And I grew up in the South and, have a history of what happened in the South as a part of my family. So it really was very personal to see that kind of thing. But I really didn't know about slaves being stolen. And,
me either.
People being stolen and sold as slaves. That was something new to me. That was a new phenomenon of.
And do you have relatives that you know were slaves?
Oh yeah, my family has traced our ancestry to Charleston, South Carolina, where the first slave came in from the east coast of Africa into the port of Charleston, and then our family developed in South Carolina. So we've got a long history from the first person who was a slave.
Amazing.
Yeah.
When was your last good cry?
Well, see, there's good cries and bad cries.
True. Yeah, that's
and
true.
I'm going to agree with you on this one. It's the movies.
Yeah.
The best cry is a cry in the movies. And I haven't seen 12 Years a Slave, but I'm going this week. It's coming into town.
Yeah.
But Les Mis.
Yeah.
Oh gosh, Steven Spielberg could make me cry. Period.
Yeah.
Well, and even with 12 Years a Slave, with all the publicity about the Oscars, there's some scenes that they show, as a part of the publicity that really can still bring tears to you.
Right.
Well, what's interesting too about that movie is, what a great education, because you and I both share that I didn't know that people were free people and then sold later into slavery. But I went with a friend of mine and we were crying so hard and so openly. The theater was mostly empty, which was good. But we were going to go out after just for a bite to eat or drink and just decided not to because it was just so,
Yeah,
so
you just have to decompress after it, I think.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. My last good one was during the Olympics. It wasn't a full-out cry, but I got choked up. I had a couple tears during the Olympics. I thought it was just really moving to see some of the highlights and moments of stolen dreams at the Olympics. So pretty recently for me. How about household chores? What's the one that you don't mind doing? Molly loves cleaning, vacuuming, right? Dusting.
Vacuuming. I hate dusting, but I like laundry.
Okay.
Dusting's my least
And I hate
favorite.
laundry, and I like dusting.
Laundry gives me a real sense of accomplishment.
There's nothing I don't mind. There's nothing.
You hate it all?
What's the question here? Yes, I hate it all.
I hate it all.
I should be living in Downton Abbey.
Yes.
I should have so many servants that I don't even know some of their names. That's it for me.
Yeah, I don't love any chores. I'll do them. I hate loading and unloading the dishwasher.
I do too.
Do you?
Yes.
I don't know why, but I don't like to do that.
I think because with kids, I do it. There are times where I'll do it at least once a day, but sometimes even more than once a day.
Oh
That's
my goodness.
The load of dishes. It is.
It's obnoxious.
But if you cook, you use
got
a lot.
to.
You have
Yes,
to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know
It
about
is
that one.
obnoxious. I agree.
This one also happens to be our sound off question for the day on our Facebook page. Do you socialize with your neighbors?
Actually, I live in a high-rise condo, and I rarely see my neighbors. I've only been there a couple of years, but before I was there, I was in a townhouse condo. And we would socialize because of a condo association. There were only 8 of us. And then earlier in my life, when I lived in the suburbs, of course, you knew all of the families because everybody had kids. So it really varies.
How about you?
I have the best neighbors in the entire world.
They're watching right now.
Hi, Linda. I have another neighbor Linda. I live in a small neighborhood. We have an alley, and the best thing is everybody somehow ends up in the alley. One guy is tearing down his garage. The other neighbors are doing stuff, and we're all filthy. And we just stand in the alley and talk trash. It's the best.
Great.
It's the best neighborhood ever.
That's awesome.
great.
Yeah, that is
Do you have any tips for handling difficult neighbors? Because a lot of people will talk about this.
I've never had a difficult neighbor, so I
Really?
No.
That's interesting. You.
Well, we don't really have difficult neighbors, but we get every once in a while we get a newbie, and they do things like park in front of that little access walk, and in the winter that's really hard. So I had like a flowery little note card, and I just put a note on the windshield saying, "Hi neighbor, I'm kind of old and it's hard for me to crawl over the snowdrift. Would you please not park in front of the access walk?"
But that's such a friendly way to approach it.
Yeah.
I think that's nice.
I think, you know, what is a neighbor? Neighbors have to be neighborly.
Yeah.
And I think it's harder in condos and apartments because I know when I first moved in, we brought brownies to all my neighbors. I've told this story, and I didn't hear from anybody. I didn't get thank yous. A lot of people wouldn't even open their door. I mean, maybe they weren't home, but it was only a few people that later even said thank you, because I think the way that people live often now is to be very separate, to to have their life, and they don't want their neighbors.
I think it's easier when you have children that are close in the neighborhood, because you then know the families. But when it's mostly single people, or married couples, which is the case where I live, you really don't see people except in the elevator and the garage.
And then sometimes you force them to be your friends. I've got some good friends now.
Well,
Forced them into it. We're running out of time, but since it's so cold outside and we want to think about spring break, best place you've ever traveled?
For me, I love New Orleans.
Really?
I could go there often, but I can't because I would eat myself to death. But I love New Orleans, and a unique place that I went was Australia, which was just totally different than here, which was really interesting.
What about favorite guilty pleasure?
Wine.
I don't believe in guilt.
No,
I don't believe in guilt.
That's good.
That's
Yeah.
good.
Did you grow up Catholic?
I did.
I knew it.
Guilt is like
I'm right here with you, Linda.
guilt is this far away from regret, and regret is a waste of time. So
I love that.
that's it.
Yeah.
Best place you've ever
I
traveled?
gotta say Alaska.
Really?
I'm sorry. Yes,
Yeah.
I lived in Alaska for a while, and it was actually part of it was during the winter. It was very difficult. I was young and strong, but it's a really good bar story.
Oh, I bet.
We'll have you back for that one.
I love it. The website for the YouTube video you're working on is on our website, themorningblend.com.
Ruthie'sBitchinKitchen.com.
There it is.
Go there.
And so people can go to YouTube to check it out.
Well, we have a video.
A video website.
Episode 1 on YouTube. Go there, like it.
Yeah.
Subscribe.
Now.
Yay.
Always great to have you
It's
here.
great to be here.
Yeah, thanks, ladies.
Next time
Thank
I'll
you
bring
so
you some
much.
cake.
Yeah,
Thanks.
lemon pound cake.
Okay.
All right, we
All right.
appreciate
Hold me to it.
Thank you.